Math Morning, Mr. Dirk is back at it again. You made it, the last lesson, solving quadratics with the quadratic formula. Yeah!
Quadratic formula. Bam! There it is. So we're going to use this today. People like it so much they actually get it tattooed on their arms and they make songs about it. So I'm going to play you the quadratic formula song right now.
The quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
If that song doesn't get your blood pumping, I don't know what's wrong with you. That song was great. Let's jump right in. So you look at this quadratic equation and you might think, well, hey, in the last couple of chapters I learned how to factor those, right? Can I factor this? You might try to do that. Or you might say, oh, to solve it, I can make a graph. So, oh, that's not a graph. Yeah, you could graph it, right? Find the zeros, the intercepts. You could do something like that. But what I'm going to show you now, because not all of these quadratic equations factor to a nice number, you can use this quadratic formula. Okay, so let me clear that out. This formula up here has all these letters. It looks ugly, but you can solve any quadratic equation with it. First, you need to look at the standard, the general quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c. And then you need to figure out what is a, what is b, and what is c. Alright, so in this one, a, that's going to be 3. The b is going to be a 5. And the c is going to be, there's a minus sign there, so it's minus 7. Then all you have to do to solve it is plug in the numbers for the letters. So here's the formula up there. You should copy that down in your notes. And we write x equals negative. Then we put in a b. The b is 5. So it's negative 5. Plus or minus, we did that in the last section, the square root of b squared, right? So there's a b, that's 5. 5 squared minus 4 ac. Okay, a is 3, c is negative 7. I put those in parentheses. A is 3. C is negative 7. And it's all divided, like the song, all over 2a. And a is 3. And now we just get to simplifying. So there's minus 5. Okay, I leave that. Plus or minus. The square root under the radical, that's what I want to simplify first. This is called the determinant. You'll learn more about that in Algebra 2. But I'm not going to mess around. I'm going to go right to a calculator. So we have 5 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 7. Alright, calculator. Boom. So 5 squared minus, what was it? Let me double check. 4 times 3 times negative 7. 4, and I use parentheses, times 3 times negative 7. 109. Okay, 109. I put that in. Square root of 109 all over 2a, right? And the a is 3. Oh, we already had 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So all over 6. All right. So this right here, this is actually your answer. Believe it or not, it's an ugly monster, but that's your answer. And it's actually two things, right? So is x equals, the first one would be minus 5 plus the square root of 109 divided by 6. That's your first answer. And the second one is x equals negative 5 minus the square root of 109 divided by 6. Okay, so these are your two answers. And you know, normal people don't talk like this. They don't go, ooh, the answer is negative 5 plus the square root of 109 divided by 6. What is that, right? These are the exact answers, right? I think these are actually the best. But just to know what they actually are, let's put them in a calculator. So minus 5 plus the square root of 109 divided by 6. Alright, so I'll do the top part of it first. It was minus 5, clear that out, minus 5 plus the square root of 109. So we have 5.4, I'll call it, right? Or I'll leave this number in there, right? Because the next thing I need to do is divide by 6. So if that number's already in there, I just hit divide by 6. Bam, and I get 0.9067. So this rounds to 0.91. All right, let's see here. So this is really 0.91, right? This is not exact, I rounded it, but it's the same thing. Now let me try this one over here. This is negative 5 minus square root of 109 divided by 6. So clear this all out. Negative 5 minus square root of 109 equals, and I divided this by 6, negative 2.57. All right, negative 2.57. So this one's negative 2.57. And again, this is rounded, it's not exact, but these are what these two answers are. If I go to the graph, I hope the x-intercepts are these two numbers. Let's check that graph. All right, this one, negative 2.57, 0.907. If you rounded that, it's 0.91. So there you go, right? Those are the two answers. That's why you can use the quadratic formula, and you get the answers every time. So now I want to practice getting these big, monstrous math things, these expressions, into decimals, right? I want you to just use the calculator, see if you can simplify this due to the nearest 100th. All right, that's how many decimal points is that? 2 decimal points. Okay, try it on your own. Go. All right, here we go. First one, 9. I'm gonna do 9. This is two things, right? So 9. Oh, hang on. 9 plus the square root of 739 divided by 6, and 9 minus the square root of 739 divided by 6. Okay, so let's get the calculator out. We have 9 plus the square root of 739. I hit equals, divided by 6. Divided by 6, right? Yep. And that equals 6.03. Round to the hundredths, there's 2 decimal points, so right there. Alright, that was 6.03. And let me try this one. 9 minus square root of 739 divided by 6. 9 minus square root 739 equals, and then I divide by 6, negative 3.03. Alright, negative 3.03. And it's really important that, you do the whole top, the numerator, you hit enter, and then you divide by the denominator. They're two separate things. Really, these are in parentheses, so you got to keep them separate to get the correct answer. This one over here, we'll have two answers again. 17 plus the square root of 319 divided by 8, and 17 minus the square root of 319 divided by 8. All right, let's put them in. So 17 plus, oop, that's a minus. 17 plus the square root of, what was it? 319. 319. Then you hit equals. Then you divide by 8. 4.36, because we're rounding. 4.36. So this one's 4.36. And now let's do the other one. 17 minus the square root of 319 divided by 8. 17 minus the square root of 319. Then you hit equals. Then you divide by 8. and that's a negative 0.107. I want 2 decimals, so it's going to be negative 0.11. Oh, there's my face again. Negative 0.11. And that's it. All right, now I want to simplify these. I want to leave it as a radical. You remember back in a couple lessons ago, I used to hook you up with some radicals. Yeah, simplify. Man, those were great times. We're going to do it again. So I'm looking here, this radical 98. I want to simplify that. So I'm going to write negative 6 plus or minus. I could draw the number line out, but I know this is 49 times 2. So I'm going to write the square root of 49 times the square root of 2. There were some other options that could go in there, but the square root of 49, I chose that one because that equals 7. So this really equals negative 6 plus or minus 7 square root 2 divided by 4. All right, so this is an answer right there. But this breaks down into two different things. So negative 6 plus 7 square root 2 over 4. And then we have negative 6 minus 7 square root 2 over 4. And what we can do too, this was an old chapter too, we can split these up into two different fractions. So the denominator is 4, right? So I can say negative 6 divided by 4 plus 7 square root 2 divided by 4. This over here simplifies to negative 3 over 2. And this doesn't simplify, so I have plus 7 square root 2 over 4. All right, that's one answer. Kind of ugly, but it's an answer. This one over here, same deal. Minus 6 divided by 4 minus 7 square root 2 divided by 4. This simplifies to negative 3 over 2, and that's minus 7 square root 2 over 4, another answer. And the purpose is, you want to have one number that's just a regular old number, and the other number will have the radical in it. So that's the main idea of this. Over here, we've got a big number. If you remember, we had this radical 832. In the last lesson, I showed you this trick. If you graph 832 divided by x squared and make a table. So we got 832 divided by x squared. I hit this bad boy, that bad boy. Oh, okay, I got a table. I can keep adding numbers down here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 and 13, right? If I go higher than that, right? Okay, nothing good. So 8 and 13. This means that's going to simplify to 8 radical 13. To 8 radical 13. You don't believe me? Well, let me write this down first. 12 plus or minus, I'm telling you, 8 radical 13 divided by 2. This is really the square root, or radical 64 times radical 13, because the square root of 64 is 8. So what's 64 times 13? 64 times 13. All right. 64 times 13. 832. 832. Okay, we're in business. Now when I simplify this, I'm going to keep it, instead of breaking into two different parts at the beginning, I'm just going to make two different fractions. So I'll have 12 divided by 2 plus or minus 8 radical 13 divided by 2. This left side becomes 6, and I have 6 plus or minus, and this becomes 4 radical 13. This is an answer. If you want, you could break it into two different parts. 6 plus 4 radical 13, and 6 minus 4 radical 13. Sometimes when you do these problems, you get an awesome answer, right? These are going to be awesome answers. So I'm looking at this. Okay, square root of 64. I know what that is. That is 8. 8 times 8 is 64. So this is really 4 plus or minus, instead of square root of 64, 8 divided by 4. If I want to break these into two things, which I'll do, I'll say 4 plus 8 divided by 4 and 4 minus 8 divided by 4. All right, these are going to simplify beautifully. 4 plus 8 is 12 divided by 4, and that's 3. 4 minus 8 is negative 4, and we divide that by 4, and that's negative 1. So our answer is 3 and negative 1. If you get this with the quadratic formula, that tells you you could have factored and gotten these nice, beautiful answers. Okay? Now what I want you to do, pause this video and try this one by yourself. Alright, so here it is. These answers, they're not as awesome as these ones. They're improper fractions, but they're still pretty cool. Check, see if we did it right. Take a look. Alright, so this person, they forgot the quadratic formula, so they tattooed it on their hand, on their wrist. This is Mr. Sherrod, right? Go check him, see if he has that too on there. That tattoo. But don't worry, I'm going to give this to you on your quizzes. You can remember that catchy song, but I'm going to give it to you. Okay, so if you don't have this memorized or tattooed, you'll be alright. So looking at this, express your answer in both decimal form and simplest radical form. So I need a decimal and a radical. Before I start though, this has to be in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so I need to take this 23, bring it over to the other side. I do that by doing a minus 23 and a minus 23. That cancels, it becomes 0. This side is 12d squared minus 4d. Now it's minus 23. Okay, so now it's ready to go in this formula. Before I do that, I always like to write this out. This is good practice. A, B, and C. A is 12, B is minus 4, and C is minus 23. Okay, so those are the three variables, the three coefficients. I need to put in the formula now. So it's not x, this time it's d. So d equals, and let me change the color for this. Let me just break it up a little bit. How about this blue? D equals, alright, it's negative b. So I always write the negative. B is negative over here. So I need to write the negative again. This trips people up all the time. So it's negative, negative 4. Alright. Then we have the square root, the plus or minus square root. B squared. B is negative. So if you're going to do it in a calculator, you got to put the parentheses. Negative 4 squared. If you don't, it's going to be wrong. So always do that. Minus 4ac. A is 12. C is negative 23. Okay? And that's all over 2 times a, which is 2 times 12. Alright, whew, that's an ugly mess. But let's simplify. So this negative becomes positive. So it's going to be 4 plus or minus. And now I'm going to put this whole thing in my calculator. Okay? Negative 4 squared minus 4 times 12 times negative 23. Alright, so remember parentheses. Negative 4 squared minus, let me refresh my memory, 4 times 12 times negative 23. 4 times 12 times negative 23. Alright, there we go. 1,120. 1,120. This is divided by 2 times 12. Well, that's 24. Alright. Now, if I'm going to get a decimal answer, I just put these back in the calculator. So 4 plus square root of 1,120. 4 plus square root 1,120 equals, and that's divided by 24. 24. So 1.56 is one answer. So 1.56. And I have to do it the other way with the subtraction. So it's 4 minus the square root of 1,120. And that's negative 29.466. And that's divided by 24. And so this answer is negative 1.27. All right, negative 1.27. Hang on, I just realized something. I rounded wrong. My bad. It's not negative 1.27. It is, if you look at this, it should be negative 1.2. This becomes a 3. Negative 1.23. Negative 1.23. Okay. So these are my two answers. But I also want to do it as a radical. So let me simplify this. 4 plus or minus. I don't need to write that thing again. I'm gonna simplify it. So this is a big number. I can't do it in my head. Let me do my shortcut with the calculator. So I'm gonna graph. All right. Instead of 832 divided by x squared, 1120. Is that right? Okay, let me see. So look, okay, these are factored, blah, 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 blah. Any good ones? Well, looks like the biggest one is 70 and 4. So I think that's it. These are all decimals. And nothing can come out of 70. Yeah, 4 times 70. So this is really 4 squared times 70, which is 16 times 70. So let's see here. This becomes, let me change the color of my pen, make it a little different. 4 plus or minus, right? It was, we said 4, the calculator said 4 times 70. That's 16 times the square root of 70 divided by 24. This simplifies to 4, right? So it's 4 plus or minus 4 square root 70 divided by 24. If I break it into two fractions, 4 divided by 24 plus or minus 4 square root 70 divided by 24. These simplify. A 4 can go in the 24. It goes in 6 times, right? So this becomes a 1. That becomes a 6. That becomes a 1. That becomes a 6. And my answer is 1 over 6 plus or minus square root 70 over 6. Woo, that's an ugly answer. Ugly, but it's right. Now, this is the person you want to sit behind on the mastery check, right? You could look right at the back of their neck, see the formula. But what I want you to do right now, I want you to try these on your own, okay? Try them, do your best, and then check back. All right, so when we did this, did the minus 8h, put everything in there, plugged it in. This right here, I always want you to show this when you're doing your work. It's easier for me to look at this and say, okay, you did it right, you did it wrong, where did you make the mistake? And this right here is the final answer after you put it in the calculator. This one over here, same thing. I had to do a minus 3 to get it over. A lot of plug and chug, plugging in a lot of things. The determinant was 224. That broke down to square root 16 times square root 14. In the final answer, I put it in this corner over here. A lot of work. If you make one little mistake, it'll throw you off. But this is the final answer right there. All right, last example of the whole year, whole Algebra 1. So let's get going. We're going to do a plus 8 on that side, a plus 8 over here. Cancel. 0 equals 2t squared minus 7t plus 8. So A equals 2, B equals negative 7, C equals 8. Stick that bad boy in the formula. X equals negative B, so negative 7 plus or minus the square root negative 7 squared minus 4ac. The A is 2, the C is 8. All over 2a, all right, all over 2 times 2. All right, so this will be positive 7 plus or minus, what's inside this radical? Okay, negative 7 squared minus 4 times 2 times 8. Negative 7 squared times 4 times 2 times 8. All right, let's see here. Boop, boop. Negative 7 squared times 4 times 2 times 8. Oh, that's not right. Minus 4 times 2 times 8. Negative 7. The last question, I'm messing up. Negative 7 squared minus 4 times 2 times 8. Alright, we got negative 15. Alright, put that in negative 15. And on the bottom, 2 times 2 is 4. Let me clarify. Negative 15 over 4. Alright, if I wanted to turn this into a decimal, alright, negative 7 plus square root negative 15, that'll be the first one I do. 7 plus square root negative 15. What happened? Error. Alright, so we talked about this a little bit in the other one. If you have a negative square root, you're going to have no real solutions, right? We're talking about it right now, but you're going to really talk about it in Algebra 2. If you graph this and, go in decimals and graph it, you might look at something like this. A parabola that does not cross the x-axis. It doesn't touch it. So that's why there's no real solutions. And again, you'll get more in depth with that in Algebra 2. But hey, you finished. Right now, you're done. Congratulations. You are amazing. I'm proud of you. You made it. I'm going to end with another quadratic formula song. Good luck with this mastery check. Good luck with the final test. You got this. Dirkus out.
Negative b plus or minus root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Negative b plus or minus root of b squared minus 4